All right, folks, let's get this session started. What do you say? Appreciate everyone for stopping by. It is Thursday, November 16th, and I'm just sharing this one out real quick. Let me paste that. Boom, boom. There's our tweets. Let's get ourselves settled in. Give everyone a second to come on in. Thank you for stopping by. We do have a revamped website at zachrector.com if you're looking to check out what we got cooking, and we do have community resources over there. That's really what it's about. Community resources, and to get in touch with me, quick disclaimer while we're waiting for everyone to come on in. If you haven't already, please make sure that you smash it, tap it, that thumbs up, it really helps. And then if you can share it out far and wide. We're going to be running up a fat live session here tonight. So much to cover and unpack: full financial market, current events, and cryptocurrency, along with the Ethereum whistleblower, Steven Arioff, our good friend, dropping that bombshell that we've been waiting for. So it's going to be a massive party tonight. So let's get everyone on in. Let's uncover the truth. Let's decode the economic data. Let's figure out how we're going to make some dang money. If we have some money, how do we protect it? This is what we break down on a daily basis. And like I was saying, you guys can find everything of mine at my website, and I am no longer reaching out on any social media platform. So if you're looking to get in touch with me, understand that I'm not messaging back on any social media because of the impersonators and scammers. Huge shout out to Elon Musk for the 2 spot. What's up, Elon? Good to see you. I can no longer message on social media. It's really unfortunate. I can't use TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I have all of them, but I will not be messaging you DM. Okay, there's so many impersonators, scammers every single day. Our team is working to block and report all of them. And so my apologies that you're having to deal with that. The scammers come in, we block, report, delete all their comments. It's like nowadays, to make some crypto content, you got to have a full-time person on staff to just kill scammers. You know what I'm saying? It's unbelievable. It's really unfortunate, but that's why I say just go to my website if you're looking to get in touch. Plus, I have my community resources, exchanges, wallets, precious metals. You already know my spiel. And that's where I'll leave it at that. Let's get right on into the update because we have so much to uncover. Ethereum whistleblower Steven Arioff holding up to his word. Now, a lot of folks were being cautious, and I get it, man. We've been here in the XRP community where we get hyped, we get pumped, we do this whole thing, and we've been waiting for, that smoking gun, and then we're still waiting here to take some action, right? How big are the damages? The damages are massive. I'm going to be talking about the red folder later. You bet. You bet. We're going to be talking about how we're going to have to get a different folder for Steven tied into our Ethereum free pass folder. The damages are massive, okay? But at least right now, what we're seeing here today is that Steven Arioff pulled up, dropped the bombshell. And he's tweeting, he's sending out a message, and we already got a response from Charles Hoskinson from Cardano. So Charles already responded, and you love to see it. And in his response, I did listen to almost the whole thing, I think, but I did hear him talk about the XRP army and how, pissed off we are. And he quickly, jumped off of that topic. He didn't want to talk about that. Now, what's funny is Charles is the only one who's responded. Joseph Lubin, nowhere to be seen. Vitalik Buterin, nowhere to be seen. And it's really incredible. I'm going to get into it later. I got a full update for you guys here tonight. So like I said, let's run up this session. If you guys could just do me a favor, tap it, smash it, and then share out the message far and wide. That's all I ask. Let's run it up. May God bless you all. We're going to run up it up and we're going to have a little bit of fun here tonight. I will say that we are late night. I apologize for coming late. I didn't know if I was going to be able to squeeze in a live tonight or not. And I did want to ask you guys this question, just as we settle in, we're going to have fun here. But what did you think of the session last night with Andy Sheckman? And then what did you think before I played the recording of the Twitter space that I had with Steven? We got the sneak peek of what he ended up dropping today. And it's a full 3-hour recording. I haven't even listened to the full thing yet, but I'm going to be listening to it tomorrow probably. But we've already pulled some important pieces already out. And then what did you think of the session last night with Andy Sheckman? I mean, what a guy. Right. And it's so great to be connected with Andy because he's providing transparency and education. He's not someone who is just here to sell you on his product, right? He sells precious metals, but he's not here to just sell you. Oh, come buy my silver, come buy my gold. He explains what's going on with this economic situation on a macro scale, bringing it into how we actually reset the system. And I thought that we had just an incredible conversation tying it back into cryptocurrency and how he has acknowledged that blockchain technology and DLT is how you liquefy gold and all of the other commodities as well. So I always love chopping it up with Andy because he understands it so well. He gets it. And I tell you what, when we chop it up with Andy, he's one of those guys. I start to say a question, I can already see that I'm triggering him, and he's just ready to go. And so, just a wealth of knowledge. He dropped it last night. Let me know in the comments what you think of that session. And I did promise you guys last night that I was going to go live here tonight. And so I wanted to make sure that I showed up for you. Appreciate everyone. Lee, I thank you so much for the 10 spot. I'm not going to shout out the Jesus coin. I just did, but Lee, come on, Lee. Oh boy. Leave it to the crypto space. We're still pumping Jesus coin. We're still pumping memes. We're still pumping NFTs. And we're going to get this session rocking and rolling. I appreciate everyone for stopping by. So right now, let's start off with our markets. We're at 36,399 for our Bitcoin right now at the time of this recording. 36,390. So basically 36,400 for Bitcoin. We see Ethereum at 1981, XRP at 62 cents. Let's give ourselves a second here to take a look at this chart though. This is your weekly chart zoomed out. I wanted to get some more perspective in tonight's session. Everybody wants to be zoomed in on a 5-minute chart, just tweaking out on the daily movements. Well, let's give ourselves some room to breathe here. Let's take a look here. Zoomed out on this chart, you can see this is the November lows of 15.5. Do I expect us to go set a new low? No. Very simply put, no, I do not expect us to go set a new low. Wouldn't be surprised if we did. Could see 12 to 13K for sure, would be easily done. But for right now, it looks like Bitcoin has tremendous support. And yes, maybe we could backtest this 30K level, but it is holding pretty strong. Got to give it some respect, all the way up to 38,000 for the Bitcoin pump. So, and this is a move. Let's measure off this move right now. We're at 15.5 all the way up here. It's about 146. About 146% on that pump. Now, remember, we did a 340% pump during the last bear market in 2019. Go back and look on the chart. It's pretty incredible. We're in the middle of another rally. I do think that we do pull back. I do think that we correct from here, but it does look like the next bull run may have started very well for crypto. It's going to be very interesting to see, but I continue to watch because you have black swan events for crypto, i.e. Tether, Binance, further exchanges collapsing. And so we're just going to have to watch that one. But let's get right on into the update, folks. This is how messed up it is in the United States of America right now. We have the Pentagon, which was just unable to track $3.8 trillion of military spending. That's right. Now, you combine that with the United States Treasury, which was unable to track $5 trillion of pandemic spending. And you bet there was all sorts of fraud and phony stuff going on with all of that PPP money, all of the additional. I just realized that some of the moratoriums on foreclosures are ending. I guess that there was still moratoriums going on some foreclosures. What is going on here, right? We're 2023 here, about to be in 2024, and folks still aren't paying their mortgage. I don't know. I just heard that, but we literally cannot track down where all of this money went, and now you're starting to see folks going to jail because they committed huge time PPP fraud. We were sending money out to everybody, and then we just had this one this week. We're unable to track where the one that came out this week was the $3.8 trillion of military spending that we can't track. That came out this week. But then if you recall, the Navy also lost. We're unable to track where a $30 million F-35 fighter jet went, right? So we just completely lost that. And then I also noticed that we had a jet go down in the Mediterranean. That was last week, I believe. It was some sort of plane, jet, something went down over the Mediterranean. But we have the IRS here in the United States of America tracking you down. You owe us $3.37. Pay it right now or you're going to jail. Well, I'll tell you what, you're going to pay a lot more because the taxes are continuing to go up. And this is how they're trying to cover for this deficit spending. They are running our country broke, and the program is a complete failure. I've always thrown out, my slogan has been, how's your program working out? When we see these cities, these states They are running it's a controlled demolition, and they're basically gutting out the city. My expectation is that you're going to continue to see big elite money come on in and buy up and basically have to take over large portions of these cities that they're allowing to just get gutted. It's getting really, really bad out there. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about this situation here with New York City. This is just one of many cities within the United States, and it's just abysmal, the situation. Mayor Eric Adams has announced that due to the financial impact of ongoing arrivals of what's going on, the city will have to make budget cuts that will reduce New York Police Department officers to below 30,000 and slash the education department budget by $1 billion. Amongst other cuts, he warns more cuts will be necessary unless the city receives more federal money to help with migrant arrivals. Now, if you didn't know any better, you would think that they're trying to do a controlled demolition. You would think that they're trying to destroy this country from within. You would think that they're trying to let the enemy invade us. And when you go look at the data yourself, you can see that even our friends and allies are abandoning us. What does that say for the United States of America on the world stage when our friends are wondering what is going on? Mr. Biden, how is he representing us? It's a complete mockery of the United States of America right now on the world stage. And the problem, too, is that we're going broke. The problem is that everybody's dropping the dollar. And we were just talking about this last night with Andy Schectman. Confirmed not just what was taking place with BRICS. It's a bunch of other countries that are trying to get into BRICS. They formally have applied. But then you have a list that goes on past that of countries that have just simply dropped the US dollar. So in alliance, you have a group that is dropping the US dollar in real time. Now, I want to play this clip here. This is from Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. The de-dollarization process has already been launched. Quote, a process has been set in motion for the world leaders to make recommendations on alternative payment platforms. There is no stopping. This is not limited to BRICS, but also Latin America and Caribbeans. As I was saying, it's not limited to Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. That's not where this is limited to. It's not limited to the other 6 countries that just formally joined BRICS, right? The UAE, Argentina, there's a few others. They're coming on in. And there's a list that goes on beyond that is ready, an alternative payment platform. As I've been saying, you go to a commodity-anchored international monetary system that settles on DLT, distributed ledger technology. That's how we achieve a level playing field. It's not just us talking about it and dreaming this thing up and hoping and praying and trying to pump our XRP. No, this is countries trying to survive a global economic crisis, a currency and commodity war that has reached the level of kinetic warfare on the battlefield. This is not a game. And here in America, it is still happy slappy time. You know what I'm saying? How are we doing tonight, folks? I want to play this recording here. I'm going to translate it for you. This is Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. I want to give a huge cheers to everyone who pulled up in the chat tonight. Make sure we get your comments and questions ready to go because I will be taking some Q&A at the end of this session. I just have so much to cover. But cheers, everyone. Thank you for joining me tonight. Let's run up this session. This is Sergei Lavrov. Let me translate for you. He says, a process has been set in motion following the most recent summit in Johannesburg. World leaders asked their finance ministers and central bank governors to make recommendations. This is happening on alternative payment platforms. Absolutely. The alternatives are presenting themselves. Thus, the process is underway and there is probably no stopping it. This is what's called de-dollarization, the transition to payment methods independent of the dollar. Speaking of which, this is not limited to just BRICS, but also within Latin American continent. As I said, there's already 5 BRICS nations where on-demand liquidity XRP is live. President Lula of Brazil suggested that CELAC, the community of Latin American and Caribbean states, safeguard their trade and economic relationships against the abuse. They're all aligning together of the dollar's role in the global financial system, right? How do we protect ourselves against the abuse of the reserve currency? And this is This is what's underway right now. It's not something that we're waiting for. A lot of folks are wondering what's taking place. The collapse is taking place right now, confirmed with the Bank of Japan collapsing in real time. Right. So it's not just the BRICS nations. It is literally our allies, as I've been saying, Saudi Arabia, France, all of our allies who we're still aligned with militarily, but they're dropping our US dollar and now they're trading outside of the US system. Well, you go look at the Bank of Japan. It's absolutely collapsing. The asset bonds on their balance sheet are completely worthless. Fiat currency, the yen, is worthless. It's trading at a level against the United States dollar that we haven't seen in 33 years. Next up, the Federal Reserve. And this is coming out. The Bank of Japan just surrendered, can short yen to infinity. Japanese Deputy Finance Minister Akazawa don't have specific FX level in mind in deciding when to intervene. Won't intervene just because yen is weakening. So basically, they're just letting it go in real time. My good friend, Rob Cunningham. Now, I was on an interview. I was interviewed by Rob and Untold Truth. Ron Partain is his YouTube channel. Ron Partain and my good friend, Rob Cunningham. They just had me on, and I wanted to read this off from Rob because he puts it together so well. Anything interesting going on? We have a failed U.S. military audit, $3.4 trillion. We have the Ides of March today. And I would add, we see what took place last month in October. On the exact day of the Yom Kippur War, 50 years ago, we see Israel, right, announces war against Gaza, declares the war, and goes live. And so we're celebrating so much, and we align with so much 50 years ago, and even if you go back 80 years ago to the reset that took place in 1944. The Ides of Marches today, along with ISO 222, JP Morgan switchover, you're seeing all the big players are admitting that they're having to upgrade to ISO 222 messaging, and it's happening right now. SEC ETF deadline coming up on 11/17. That's going to be tomorrow. We're going to see if there is 2 Bitcoin ETFs that are due tomorrow, and then we have another Bitcoin ETF that is due on November 21st. The ETF drama is hype, in my opinion. This is a narrative, and I believe that they are going to delay. They may end up denying too, but I think that for now they are going to delay these ETFs, so watch out for that. This could lead to a pullback coming up here shortly. Now, we have Tesla super rocket launch. Oh, I don't even know what that is. Biden cabinet oaths. Well, yeah. And they tried to fact check that too. I saw that on community notes on the Biden cabinet oaths, whether or not they exist. And they were saying in community notes that they do exist, but they weren't notarized and that it's not a requirement per the Constitution. So apparently there are oaths to Biden's cabinet. They're just not notarized. Okay. Dismal U.S. Treasury auction. Yeah, we covered that last week. It basically almost failed. It was the longest tail that we've seen since about 2008. Latest CPI numbers cooked. Yeah, they once again, at the beginning of this year, they changed how they calculated the CPI once again. It's a complete lie, completely manipulated. And the bottom line is that any real assets, any real commodities, anything that really matters is up 10 to 20% or more. And so Thanksgiving coming up next Thursday. What are we going to be talking about with the family around the Thanksgiving table? Are we going to be able to tell them that our crypto's pumping still? We're going to have to watch this one. And we have the Fiat Federal Reserve System on the precipice of Humpty Dumpty's great fall. It's just incredible to watch the United States, as we were just covering, the Bank of Japan admitting surrender. Well, Jerome Powell and our Federal Reserve has already admitted surrender as well, too. Let's understand that, and let's be very clear. By doing a form of pivot, by just stopping the rate increases, right? He's given us a pause at the last 2 meetings. That is a form of pivot. Now, has he started cutting rates yet? No. But by the time he starts cutting rates, you can expect that market to be going down, folks. Watch out below. Now, we're not done. Who is Steven Narioff? Ooh, we're going to be getting into who is Steven Narioff here shortly. And our community knows very well who Steven Narioff is. We were part of breaking the sneak peek on the recording that he dropped here today. What an opportunity. I still can't believe that Steven popped in and we basically broke that story. It was unbelievable. What is ETHgate? Yeah, we're going to be covering that. What if the only legally valid digital asset in America was the only ETF granted an approval? Now, I was mentioning that. I've been talking about this. The Bitcoin and the Ethereum ETFs, there's reason to deny them. Even in BlackRock's filing for the Bitcoin spot ETF, they admit that there is plenty of manipulation backing and propping up Bitcoin from Tether and stablecoins. Not good, right? When you're providing that in the disclosure to your investors, that's not really clean. So what is liquidity? What problems does it solve? What is XRP? What is ISO? What is Ripple? What is Executive Order 13772? Uh-oh, Rob knows. We know that Rob knows very well. Who signed Executive Order 13772? What 8 tokens are ISO approved? Happy Thanksgiving, XRP Army, and Merry Christmas too. Boy, it is getting lit up right now, folks. We're just going to continue on through this update. It is happening in real time. We tune into Main Street. See, I dropped a video earlier today decoding the U.S. economic data. And in that video, I talk about how we see stocks pump today, but they're missing. We have bulls putting on the blinders, stocks going up. But if you look at Main Street, if you look at the retail consumer, right? Main Street business, small and medium enterprises, right? What's the real situation? Not good. And it's being confirmed by what was shared by Walmart here today. Walmart falls 8% as CFO says October trends have made them, quote, pause and rethink the health of the consumer. What have we been warning about all this last year? Well, you know, we talked about how we've been in a recession. We've talked about how real inflation is at 10 to 20% on anything that matters. To pause and rethink the health of the consumer. You might be a little bit too late, but at least you're starting to realize. More specifically, Walmart said they saw a sharp fall off in sales during the last 2 weeks of October. That was confirmed by a retail sales number that fell short earlier this week. We already got that data point. Management said there is still strain on the consumer and they are more cautious than they were 3 months ago. Everybody's getting tight. Even as the rate of inflation falls toward 3%, we are still seeing inflation. As I've been saying, they've cooked these numbers. And the core removes housing and basically food and energy. The core removes food and energy. And if we want to take the super core, it removes housing, energy, shelter, used cars, anything that matters. What are we even talking about anymore? You know, we're throwing out these inflation gauges that don't keep track of anything that matters. If it actually matters, if it's actually inflated at more than 3%, they just remove it. And they find different ways to substitute hedonics. Their methodologies for this is just ridiculous. Prices are building on multiple years of already high inflation. Retail remains a key indicator of the economy. That's the problem, is that even if you pull back prices, if someone loses their job, they can't afford it. And that's kind of what we've been talking about with real estate. It's like, yeah, prices can come down some still, but if folks are losing their jobs and we actually go through a real recession and an extended, prolonged, deep recession, it could get ugly. Now, maybe the Fed wants to pivot. Maybe the Fed wants to step in. And I think that that's what Walmart CEO is begging for. Walmart CEO says the forecast possible deflation. That's right. He used the D word. You're not supposed to drop that one. Walmart CEO says the forecast possible deflation in coming months. That means prices actually coming back. But like I said, even from coming back, folks still can't afford them because they've gone up so much in the last 3 years. And the Walmart company is a great gauge, right? Looking at Walmart and the spending that's taking place, they reported that you're seeing a lot more upper middle class and more well-off folks have been shopping at Walmart, which is a data point that tells us, right, that it's getting tight out there. Folks are going to Walmart because you can get such cheap groceries, right? And the cheap staples and the stuff that you really need, right? That's a great gauge. And when the Walmart CEO says that they're talking about possible deflation, right, and cutting back costs, I'm already seeing it. I'm telling you right now, when I go out and about, first off, it's empty. It's absolutely empty out there. I mean, and part of that's the transition with the weather. Sure, okay, it's seasonal, this and that. Everybody has an excuse. No, it's dead. And when I have conversations with folks, it's tight. Even when I talk to people that have plenty of money, that have net worths that are a lot, you know, they're tight. They're tight. Everybody that I'm talking to right now, myself included, I start negotiations with wifey at no. You know what I'm saying? Wifey, no. We start at just no. Okay, because it's just gone crazy. Inflation is nuts. And the Walmart CEO is I think trying to essentially talk his book in a way, right? We talk about talking your book with like hedge fund managers and big investors, right? They'll kind of speak, in a way that kind of helps them. Well, I think the Walmart CEO is kind of begging the Fed to ease up, right? Help the consumer out. Let's, Main Street's getting squeezed. Let's ease up here. And this is the problem, is the Fed really doesn't even know what they've created. They've blown things up with inflation so bad. And then there's all this supply and demand imbalances in different asset classes, from real estate, now with bonds. We're getting flooded with bonds. And really, the financial tsunami is a flood of US dollars coming back to the United States. I made a note when I was listening to the Andy Schectman show last night with you guys. I was live in the chat listening and commenting. And thank you for everyone in the live chat who's dropping comments and all the conversation. I really do appreciate it. But I made a note that the financial tsunami, what it really is for Americans here back at home, is it's a flood of US dollars coming back because nobody wants our bonds and they're actually being forced to sell them off, just like Japan is, just like China is, just like every other country around the world that owns our bonds. They're dumping them. They are selling them, right? And so this is a flood. What's the financial tsunami that's going to hit the United States? It's a flood of US dollars coming back to our shores. And this is going to lead to a period of stagflation, as I mentioned yesterday with Andy Schectman. The stagflation is the worst case scenario because asset prices still go up while demand's falling off because of this whole manipulated and propped up economy. Right? There's still so many dollars in the system, but it's concentrated at the top. And we continue to see asset prices going up because folks want to get rid of their dollars as fast as possible. So we still have a shortage of real estate in some areas. We still see markets going up. And I'm about to show you guys that as we get on into it. This is back to Main Street data points like I'm talking about. This tweet right here. Let me show you guys this one. This is from Residential Club on Twitter. Zillow home price data for America's 40 largest metropolitan housing markets. Now, I want to check the chat, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight, guys. If you haven't already, if you could just smash that thumbs up for me, I would greatly appreciate that. I appreciate all the super chats, all the love. Thank you so much for coming on in here tonight. Let's keep it rolling. Now, this is the Zillow home price data for America's 40 largest metropolitan housing markets. The month over month, the year to date, and the year over year, without seasonal adjustment through October 2023. Now, what do we see, folks? I don't even know if you guys can see. Yeah, you guys can kind of see this. Okay, good. I want to make sure you could see these data points. Shift since the 2022 peak. That's what I want to take away. That's what I want to take away. Now, remember, this is the 40 largest metro area housing markets sorted by year over year change. That's what this data point is. The Zillow Home Value Index. Zillow made you think that your house was worth something, didn't they? Yeah, we're coming back down to reality right now, aren't we? Now, as we pointed out though, remember, residential real estate, different, so much different from commercial. This is residential data points right now that we're sharing. Residential, some markets are still going up. Look at Milwaukee, up 6%. Providence, Warwick, and that's Rhode Island, 4.4% up. 4.6 up in Philadelphia, Camden, Wilmington. Miami, Fort Lauderdale, up 6%. Virginia Beach, Norfolk, you're still up. That's North Carolina, 4.5%. Cleveland, Area, Ohio, 3.7%. Now, let's see some of these L's, these big red ones. San Jose, Santa Clara, down 9%. Now, this is down 9% from the 2022 peak. That's the data point that I'm focusing on right here. 9.1% for Seattle, Tacoma, Bellevue, and that is Washington up here in the Pacific Northwest. Down 9.1%. Absolutely. Absolutely. Tampa down 1.6, Portland down 6.2, San Francisco 11.2, Denver, Aurora, Lakewood 7.2, Nashville 4%, Houston 2.9, Sacramento 7.6. This is not good, folks. This is not good. Not all markets are created equal, right? So even in residential, we talk about how residential much different from commercial, but then dive in to market by market basis, some are still going up by 6-7%. Some are getting killed by 9%. This is residential too. 11.2% in San Francisco is not the worst. You have Phoenix, another market that's getting corrected right now in a massive way. 8.4% down for Phoenix, 7.4% from Las Vegas, 5.1% for San Antonio, and the worst, boy, is that brutal, 8.13%. Folks, when we look at technicals, when you're trading, 20% is a crash in the traditional market. So we're at 18.3% for Austin, Texas. Is that a crash? Let's round up. Let's get real, right? Let's get real. You might as well round up. And that's a high flying, very speculative, and it was a boom town. It was a pandemic boom town, Austin, Texas, with a flood, an influx of folks coming in, and then a huge amount of construction taking place in Dallas. Sorry, not just Dallas, Austin and Texas in general. Texas has the highest amount of construction that's active right now, and we're at the highest level throughout the United States. But if you look at Texas, if you go travel Texas, it's unbelievable. They do everything bigger in Texas. And boy, do I love it down there. So we just met up with our Discord community. That was down in Dallas, Texas. That was our most recent Discord meetup. And while I was there in Dallas, I drove around all the suburbs, Fort Worth, Plano, Frisco, you name it. I drove around all those suburbs. As far as the eye can see. Now, Texas is kind of flat, but when you get up on a little hill, you look, as far as the eye can see, it's developments. It's housing developments as far as the eye can see. And, you know, as someone who comes from the Pacific Northwest, I was pretty impressed with a lot of the prices. I was like, well, looks like some quality housing, kind of affordable. This is not bad. Like, pretty clean neighborhoods. Looks really nice. But relatively speaking, I didn't have a chance to make it down to Austin, Texas. We were just in Dallas. But Austin, one of those cities, right, that really, really boomed. And these cyclical high-flying markets, these are the ones that are coming back down. San Jose, Sacramento, Seattle, all of the West Coast, a lot of them on the East Coast. It's basically the coastal areas are the ones that are having the biggest correction for residential. And commercial real estate across the country, sacrifice. So let's be very clear. Residential, some markets going up, some markets going down. Commercial across the country, sacrifice. You know, you have to figure out right now if you can really make the numbers work on commercial investment properties. And this is a new reality, a new normal. And I'm excited to start building my investment portfolio during these times. If you want to get tapped in with our group, we talk about deals. We're going into this in a little bit more in depth. That's over at my website, zachrector.com. But once again, this data is confirming that a real estate reset is underway. Not all markets are created equal. So you need to understand two things. One, where you live. You need to understand your shelter. Is it cheaper to rent in your market than it is to buy? In many markets right now, it is, right? So no rush, right? And be patient. I know as a millennial who's trying to buy my first property, it's incredibly frustrating right now, right? I mean, it's defeating. When you look at these markets, you're just like, what is up with all these jacked up deals? Like, what are we talking about here? I'm just seeing numbers thrown out. See what sticks. Price, and then sure enough, I look at these and I'm like, well, this is crazy. Sure enough, price cut 20,000, price cut 50,000, price cut 110,000. New home, can't sell. Also have a Craigslist listing for rent. That's right. That's the level that they're stooping to. They're getting desperate. And I covered it in my earlier episode here today on the decoding the economic data. Now we see this article just got shared here today. Check this one out, folks. Department of Justice backs tenants in case alleging price fixing by big landlords and a real estate tech company. Right now, we are seeing this thing start to really unravel. This is going to be a really good opportunity for legitimate players in the real estate investment field. That asset class is under a reset, and for the legitimate players, you're still making cash flow happen. I have folks in our community, I talk to people every single day that are still making it work in real estate, right? But you have to understand the new normal that we're now operating within. And as long as your cash flow covers debt service, you can still justify a deal, right? But right now, it's happening. The Department of Justice backing the tenants, and it's going to become popular to come after landlords. Remember, right now, folks want somebody to blame. And so this is my last point that I'm going to make on real estate. Watch out, because you are seeing cities like Dallas. Literally right after I left Dallas, Texas, the city banned Airbnb. And so you're seeing metros across this country that are banning Airbnb and short-term rentals. So you have to watch out. This is really switching up right now, and they want somebody to blame. They want somebody to go after. And so they're going after. This is the Department of Justice backing tenants, and you're already seeing big lawsuits getting dropped, and you already saw the National Association of Realtors just lost some big lawsuit, some big class action lawsuit. That was just, a week or two ago? And so this is really starting to switch over. And what I've always found so interesting is how I'm going to leave. I'm just going to cut off my comments on the real estate there, on the real estate asset class right there. I've been in the camp that this is really set to correct for a major way, and it's being confirmed in the data right now. But I want to get into the crypto update because I have so much to cover over here. Let's keep it rolling. Now, we're going into the crypto update, folks. If you haven't already, please smash it. Please tap it. Please hit it. Drop us some love. Drop us some love in the comments down below, and let's get right on into it. So this was Gary Gensler. He just dropped these comments, and it's an absolute joke. This man has no shame. He truly doesn't. Now, Stuart Alderati is going to fact check him, but I want to play what he says right here. He shares this as Joe Kennedy, the first SEC chair, once said, quote, "We are not prosecutors of honest business, nor defenders of crookedness. We are partners of honest business and prosecutors of dishonesty. We shall not prejudge, but we shall investigate." Now, Stuart Alderati gives us the fact check. Gary Gensler's recent remarks: Ripple was sued, but never charged with dishonesty. The failed case against it was prejudged, beginning with ethically compromised Bill Hinman. Gensler has prejudged crypto and has filed suit against others without investigation. That is exactly what this deal is right now. A company that they knew they had no fraud charges on. They didn't even try it. They were willing to try the aiding and abetting charges against Brad and Chris, the executives, ended up having to surrender, dismiss those with prejudice. But listen in, the goal of this guy, Gary Gensler, it's truly unbelievable. I'm just going to play a quick clip right here at the beginning.
In his very first speech, I think it was at the National Press Club here in Washington, he said, quote, "The commission will make war without quarter on any who sell securities by fraud or misrepresentation." It's kind of a clear, succinct line of joke.
Yeah, it really is. And you guys have expanded out with this regulation through enforcement, or as Tom Emmer called it, harassment by enforcement, right? And Gary Gensler here has just gone on around parading like he's the good guy that's coming in to save and protect us. You're supposed to be going after fraud, dishonesty, and legitimate scams. Meanwhile, we see that the crypto space is allowed to let hundreds of thousands of ERC20 scam tokens exist, and they've not gone after really any of the ERC20 tokens other than a few. They definitely don't dare talk about Ethereum. Gary Gensler still today can't say whether or not Ethereum is a security, but meanwhile, he wants to act like he's protecting us investors. It's an absolute joke. And now I want to play this final statement here too from what he says. Why are we losing here connection? Let me refresh.
And 700 totaling 900. These numbers, though, behind them really.
Okay, this is the part right here. Listen in on this. This is how he ended his statement right here.
Really tell us a fuller one. And again, I think our enforcement program through 5 themes. I've talked about these 5 themes when I was with you 2 years ago as well. Economic realities, accountability, high impact cases, process, and positions of trust.
High impact cases. How do we get the most attention? And really what we are looking at and what we've seen is protect the incumbents. we now know that they knew it was complete fraud and rampant scams that were built on top of Ethereum. And that's through our good friend Steven Narioff, the Ethereum whistleblower, and the recording that he dropped today, 3-hour recording, and what we've uncovered here in the XRP community, right? But nowhere are they to be seen until we get a collapse, until exchanges go bust, right? They never step in to actually protect any of the investors. And in fact, they've left us without any sort of clarity, right? This is a joke to have Gary Gensler up on stage still pretending like he's doing the best to protect us, and he's only going after those who are dishonest. Meanwhile, he met with Sam Bankman-Fried, he met with Brad, he met with Brad and David, or sorry, not, I think he did meet with Brad, or Brad and David met with Jay Clayton, I guess. Essentially, Ripple's been meeting with the SEC and working with the regulators since 2015 when they settled up with FinCEN for $15 million, where XRP was already deemed a virtual currency through the Department of Justice and FinCEN. So Ripple's been trying to do things the right way, sets up an office in DC, but Gary Gensler and the SEC continue this war against them. Meanwhile, they allowed Sam Bankman to go. They allowed Ethereum to go. And now today is the day where our good friend Steven Narioff drops this bombshell recording. It's a 3-hour recording that really just shows how big of a mess Vitalik Buterin had created. And so you guys already know the deal. I have this red folder right here, and this is the red folder that we started to build out. And this folder really is focused on the XRP case and how big are the damages and the different precedent that we set over there. Now, I wanted to give a shout out to my good friend, Bob Wiles. Bob Wiles, he's up in Canada, and he sent me 2 blue folders, right? So I got my red folder, I got 2 blue folders, and this one from Bob is really cool, actually. He sent me this one, and it has all these graphics with the, I want to make sure you guys can see that, right? All the graphics here. This is awesome. I think this is done by XX1133, right? And then this is from Val Hill Capital. Asset-backed digital currency transition advisory, June 2022, managing the transition to the new asset-backed digital economy. So huge shout out to Bob. So we got our red folders, we got our blue folders, and I'm about to have to go get another folder. I thought that I had some other folders, but I'm out of folders. So tomorrow I am going to buy a new folder, and I'm going to be stuffing all this evidence in. So I did actually go ahead and I did download the transcript that Steven Narioff did drop. I haven't bought the NFT. I thought it was really interesting. So he dropped these NFTs, and you have to pay with Matic, and it's like 1,000 Matic, which is like equivalent to like $800 or something, I think. And so I did not buy the NFT, but he did drop the link for the full transcript and then some other restructuring plan. So what Steven Narioff dropped for us today is the Ethereum Rescue and Restructuring Plan. In late 2014, Ethereum was in trouble. Vitalik Buterin asked Steven Narioff to do a full diagnostic assessment and recommendations on how to save Ethereum and restructure it for long-term success. Over the early months of 2015, Steven and Vitalik spoke many times. These are 5 of those conversations that happened to be recorded. Thank you to Altura NFT for their support in bringing this piece of history to life. Available to mint below. Altura NFT, and that's where you can get it, is at realtruth.marketplace. And yeah, like I said, it kind of interesting how he did that. He did tell me that it was going to be put on the XRPL as an NFT as well too. So I'm kind of waiting to see that, and I'm hoping that he can get that done as well. But I did download the transcript and I did download the restructuring plan. But I just wanted to give you a couple of the comments here from John Deaton. This certainly raises questions regarding the due diligence Hinman testified about performing before granting the free pass. Why hasn't the SEC turned over the emails and documents sought by the Empower US lawsuit? So the SEC is still holding back from this lawsuit by Empower, who's been filing all these Freedom of Information Act requests, and they've uncovered so many good documents. They uncovered the Hinman emails, and we did get the redacted version of the Hinman emails. That was further confirmation. This is further confirmation, and it certainly does raise questions regarding the due diligence of Hinman and the SEC, right? Now, this is absolutely major, and as Cowboy Crypto drops here, this entire conversation is really amazing to see how Steven Narioff gave Vitalik the best advice possible from a seasoned veteran in the space. Steven didn't hold anything back and told him like it was. They were committing all kinds of violations. At one point, Narioff tells Vitalik, everyone in the foundation needs to be stripped of their ether and everyone needs to go. Couple of my favorite quotes. If every single person left but you and Charles, it actually would have been a better thing in my opinion. This is what Steven was telling Vitalik, is that basically you gave away your company, you gave away the Ethereum Foundation and all your tokens to a bunch of people who didn't have the best interest, right? They didn't actually care about building out utility and dApps and this whole story that was told from Ethereum. And really, when you listen to these recordings, and I'm going to go listen to the full 3-hour recordings tomorrow, and I'm going to dissect even more of this and put it together and synthesize it for something that's easy for you guys to digest, so you don't have to listen to the full 3-hour recordings. But I was already reading through part of this transcript here today, and it was just very clear, right, that Steven Narioff understood you got yourself a mess. And he even said, like, basically, you aren't qualified to be in control of this company and everything that you're trying to manage right now. And one of the quotes that I remember is that he basically said, you've set this thing up and now Joseph Lubin is basically operating a hedge fund because they held a bunch of Bitcoin. And Steven Narioff was like, whoever's in charge of this money and you didn't hedge that position at all, you're setting yourself up for failure. You cannot operate that way. And so Steven Narioff really came in, and in the recording, he says, I'm telling you this as a friend. I'm trying to be candid. I'm trying to be upfront. And that's why I'm saying what I'm saying. And he goes off and he's just laying in here on what needs to be done. And I'll tell you what it is. There was no adult in the room, and the adults that were in the room, the quote unquote adults that were in the room, were the most crooked and corrupt Joseph Lubin types that had surrounded Vitalik. And Vitalik himself, as Steven Narioff said in my Twitter space, I asked Steven Narioff, I said, it really seems like I always thought that Vitalik was some puppet of Putin, of the Russian government, right? Because that's where he comes from. Well, it turns out through all of our research in the XRP community and the sleuths that it looks like there's way more of a Chinese influence behind Vitalik. And Steven Narioff confirmed, absolutely. And Boring Sleuth confirmed that with Wang Sheng. And so it's just and even Steven said that you basically just have a character that was portrayed on to the crypto world and to all the investors, was you had this genius in Vitalik that was like the second coming of crypto. You know what I'm saying? And Joseph Lubin was this slimy little guy behind the scenes who they all knew the Ethereum layer 1 wouldn't scale. And they knew that the dApps and all that, how much of it was fraud, downright scams, and a lot of it was just rife with manipulation, pump and dump schemes. But they didn't care because all of those dApps and everything that was getting put on, even if it was schemes, it was paying them and it was pumping the price. And it was funny, at one point in the transcript, I remember reading, Steven was talking about Joseph Lubin's hedge fund, and Vitalik was talking about how Joseph, at the time they had about $2.7 to $3 million worth of Bitcoin, I believe. And they were trying to sell it off because they wanted to have cash. Remember on the early Ethereum pre-sale, if you got in on the pre-sale, right, you got way more Ethereum for your 1,000 Bitcoin. Right? They were selling a bunch of Ether tokens in the pre-sale in return for Bitcoin. And they were giving all these promises. And Steven Narioff was just up front. He's like, you're not going to be able to commit to these promises. Like, you've already committed securities violations. He told them straight up, you've already tripped securities laws. This is already a mess. But he said he was trying to be honest. He was trying to be a good guy, a business leader, an adult in the room. Right, helping out Vitalik. He was trying to do the right thing. He was saying, we still can save this, but it's an absolute disaster, and you need to get rid of 99% of the people around us. And Steven said this, it's hard for me to imagine there haven't been a lot of wires tripped on the legal side. I'm pretty sure securities laws and other laws have been tripped. They knew. right? And the smug attitude of Joseph Lubin and the gang comes from knowing that they had a free pass. The mentality of Vitalik, he's just this kid that's off in the shadows. He's sleeping on Steven's couch. He's sleeping on this guy's couch. He's sleeping on, I'm going to hold back my comments. He's sleeping on a lot of couches. I'm going to hold back my comments. They're doing a lot of weird things. They're putting on a lot of weird costumes. But let's get back to Ethereum. Okay, they created a Ethereum. They got the Ethereum free pass. It allowed them to create the token factory. Right now, there are literally hundreds of thousands of ERC20 tokens that have been created on Ethereum, along with the Tether stablecoins that have kept this whole thing propped up. And every single new week, every single day, it's a new ERC20 token pump and dump. It's this coin, it's that coin, it's a meme. And it's so sad that our crypto space, when we try to break this story should be going viral already. You think that Charlie Gasparino is going to cover this one? Fox Business barely covers cryptocurrency, right? CNBC barely covers cryptocurrency. And who do they get on? Bitcoin shills and Ethereum shills. That's it. That's all it is. They only bring on basically shillers like Kevin O'Leary, like Anthony Pompliano, buy your Bitcoin pizza. They bring on a bunch of shills, right? And it's a complete joke because when the adults pull up in the room and we just simply say, hey guys, like we're trying to build some real utility over here. We have a currency that settles in 3 to 5 seconds. There's a DEX already built into the ledger. You can issue any asset that you want or can think of on the ledger. So have at it. You want to tokenize any commodity. You want to tokenize data. You want to tokenize real estate. You want to tokenize bonds, equities, stocks. You can do it all. And oh, by the way, we have an AMM that's coming that's absolutely going to make it way more efficient. And I'm going to play a clip here from David Schwartz because this is where I find ourselves. We are trying to break a story, and it's up to you guys, along with myself, to continue pushing and applying pressure. It's not enough to share the 3-hour recording. It's not enough to beat the SEC in the Ripple versus SEC lawsuit. As I've been saying, the damages are absolutely massive, and it's much, much bigger than just the XRP story. Remember, I ran out of room in my red folder as I was uncovering all these documents. Now, right here, let me pull this thing out. This is our summary judgment filing from Judge Torres, 34 pages. And it reads really simple. There's no fraud. There's no nothing. The only place that you have an investment contract with anybody is with the institutional investors. And have any of the institutional investors been harmed? No. Who's been harmed? The retail investors and the company Ripple. Right? And the damages go so much further than just the XRP community. The damages go so much further than just the Ethereum free pass in the crypto space. Our capital markets have been hijacked by corrupt government mafia officials, and they've opened up our market for the fraudsters. They've allowed the Ethereum free pass to go through. They've allowed all these companies from a country that I'm not going to name, starts with a C, you know what I'm talking about. They allowed this country to flood our stock market with a bunch of IPOs that were complete frauds. The biggest one, Alibaba, signed off by Jay Clayton. As you're seeing right now today, as we saw, President Xi from China touches down in San Francisco. Now we finally clean up the streets. Now we finally come in. Okay? We gotta clean the streets for Biden and gang. President Xi from China pulling up. And go look at the table. The dinner table with President Xi, Tim Cook from Apple, Ray Dalio from Bridgewater's Associates. And if you've read Ray Dalio's Changing World Order, I've listened to a large part of the book and I listened to a lot of what Ray Dalio talks about because I know that Ray Dalio is going and sitting with the world elites. And I know that Ray Dalio, although he puts out this character like he, loves America, he's American at heart. These hedge funds, these money guys, that's their religion. That's their religion. They sit down at the dinner table with a dictator Absolutely. As our good president of the United States of America, Joe Biden, called him, a dictator of a communist country. The look on Senator Blinken's face, Anthony Blinken, our defense secretary, couldn't believe that Biden literally called Xi a dictator when Xi shows up here in San Francisco just this week. But as we see here once again today, this is all part of one scheme to basically destabilize the United States. Eventually, they destroy the U.S. dollar. They get to roll out their new system where they control the assets. They control the gold. He who makes the gold controls and makes the rules. So he who owns the gold owns the commodities and has a significant piece of the DLT technology that this new system is going to be settled on will make the rules. Will control the new system. And that's where we're at. Now, what's funny, and we've talked about this, Bitcoin, complete failure as peer-to-peer cash, as was written in the Satoshi white paper. Complete failure. Ethereum, even with their free pass, even with all of the corruption and the monopoly that they were handed on a silver platter, they still can't get it to work. The program still sucks. Instead of calling it proof of stake, we should call it proof of you know what. And we called it Ethereum 2.0, complete flop, embarrassment to the cryptocurrency space. But now, with legal clarity and with additional utilities coming to the XRPL, this thing's about to get fired up, and we're about to differentiate ourselves from all other chains. Let me play this clip here from David Schwartz summarizing this absolutely perfectly. The XRPL, right? Absolutely getting a bunch of utility coming online on top of the legal clarity for XRP in and of itself not being a security. We are in the perfect asset class. We are in the perfect cryptocurrency, virtual currency, call it whatever you want. Call it a crypto commodity. What we know right now is that the law of the land is that XRP in and of itself is not a security. What we know next is that we're getting AMM, we're getting clawbacks, we're getting all these NFTs, all these features for the XRPL, and this utility is what separates us from the rest of the cryptocurrency space. Let's listen in here on David Schwartz.
Awareness of the XRP ledger as a layer one option has been increasing. Those speeds, fees, scalability.
Hold up. Stephen, my man, Stephen, God bless you, brother. My man, I see Stephen. He just came in and dropped a 20 spot. God bless you, brother. Cheers. Thank you so much for dropping it, staying true to your word. We appreciate you so much, and we know that there's a lot more coming on the way. Like he said, 3-hour recording Bombshell. That's just the start. He's got a lawsuit coming up too. And just like the XRP community, he was put on the defense. They created a phony, fabricated story, a lie, to come after Steven Arioff. And he was completely vindicated. Charges dropped and dismissed with prejudice. Just like the charges against Brad and Chris, the executives at Ripple. Charges absolutely dropped and dismissed with prejudice. The SEC had to surrender. With Steven Arioff, the Department of Justice and the FBI, they're the ones that had to give up and get put back in their place. And as we talked about, Steven is a patriot. That's where he comes from. That's his incentive. He doesn't own XRP. He's not involved in that way. He just wants to save our country. He wants to see us maintain the gold standard of capital markets here in the United States of America. It's an absolute pleasure to have you tuning in with us tonight, Stephen. Thank you so much, brother. And I want to say cheers. Thank you so much. Oh, he says the NFTs are free. Okay, my misunderstanding. Thank you, Stephen. And we're waiting for the NFTs on the XRP ledger too, my man. And I think I missed another super chat too. Stephen Arioff in the house. Shout out to Stephen in the chat. Oh, and Zach. Oh, Shannon, thank you for letting us know. Shannon, much love. Thank you, Shannon. Stephen in the chat. Thank you for letting me know, Shannon. God bless you guys. Let's keep it rolling. This is David Schwartz. Let's listen in.
Energy uses, and I think the track record. Awareness of the XRP ledger as a layer one option has been increasing. Those speeds, fees, scalability, low energy uses, and I think the track record, 10 years running, and the built-in DEX, tokenization, sourcing efficient liquidity, The XRP ledger rises to the fore as a core opportunity to differentiate against other chains with these features. Awareness of the...
Now, compare that to the rest of the space that's running from the hills. Nobody has clarity. Everybody's still under the cloud. And yeah, they can say, oh, we got an opinion. Someone gave us a speech. We were told that we were a commodity. Okay, but we have all sorts of ICOs. We have all sorts of stablecoin manipulation. We have senators in the United States of America, Senator Loomis, that is calling for Binance and Tether. And she's actually not the only one. They're coming after this space. And this is the moment that we've been waiting for in the XRP community, not because we want to see XRP pump, but just like Steven's motives, we're patriots too. We want to see a level playing field. We want to see the gold standard of capital markets within the United States of America. The damages done to the XRP community are massive. The damages done to Ripple, the executives, Brad and Chris, massive. Damages done to Steven, massive. Okay, but we're in a bigger fight. We're in a bigger war. Now, we've had some great victories, but it's up to our community to continue pressing forward here. We have the facts. We have the timeline that's not in dispute. We have the whistleblower dropping evidence, recordings that's not in dispute. And Charles Hoskinson showed up today, didn't he? Charles. Oh, Charles, where are you at? And this is why I love Charles, actually. And Steven Arioff gave a lot of respect to Charles when we were talking about him on the space. By the way, Steven, we'd love to have you back. You know you're welcome anytime. We always have room for you. So let's connect again. But as he was saying, Charles, I've always respected Charles too. Even though he kind of trolls, that's what he said, is that Charles is kind of he's a really smart troll. And so he's kind of trolling the XRP community. That's fine, whatever. We have a lot of respect for Charles though, because I listen to him. He's a good American. You know, he's just trying to build something. Cardano's kind of interesting, right? They're building something. They're working. It's respectable, right? I don't own any Cardano, but it's respectable. You know, in the sunny hills of Colorado, or however he starts out when he makes his videos. I like it. He's transparent. He's honest. He's a real one. You know, he's a real one. He got off that ship real quick. You know, he saw that Vitalik was leaning in towards the rest of the group, Joseph Lubin and the gang, and whoever was backing and controlling the puppet strings on Vitalik Buterin, the character that is known as Vitalik Buterin, right? And Charles had to get off. He had to get off ship there. And so I respect Charles. And he did come on today and he did share a little bit, just a slight bit of respect for the XRP community, right? He kind of hinted that this was in relation to the XRP community. And he wanted to respond because he was mentioned 69 times in the recording, right? And I thought that it was, I've started to go through the transcript. I'm going to go through it further tomorrow. I'll finish my conclusion and I'm going to provide another update, really breaking down all the bullet points and the key takeaways for you guys. But the bottom line, our facts, our timeline is not in dispute. We know that. No one stepped up and been able to challenge what the XRP community has found. But wait, there's more. But wait, it got a whole hell of a lot better. We got a patriot whistleblower, Steven Arioff, pulls up through our recording, Bombshell. Pulls up in MySpace. Give us a little something, a little bit more context, perspective. Steven's a real one. And this is the fight that we should all be getting behind right now in the United States of America. This isn't political. It's not left-right. It's how's our program working out? The program of basically protecting the incumbents and going after the honest and the transparent companies is going to leave us behind, while the rest of the capital, the rest of the entrepreneurs is flowing outside the United States, and we're seeing hubs set up around the world, Singapore, Dubai, London. And all of the crypto companies are wondering, why should we even invest or be here in the United States of America when we get no response, no clarity, nobody wants to work with us. And in fact, we have Operation Choke Point that is continuing on. And as I've been saying, it's going to continue on because there's plenty of companies that have tripped up on the securities laws, just like Steven Arioff told Vitalik. You definitely tripped it up. And I think it's respectable what Steven was trying to do. He was trying to step in. He was trying to save it. You know? And that's why Steven was sought after, is because he was an expert in the legal field and in business too. And that's why he was sought after. And what a real one. He came in and he told Vitalik how it was. We need to clean this mess up right now. This is ugly, kid. That's basically what he said. The summary, this is ugly, kid. We got to clean this thing up. It's unbelievable that you were allowed to create this thing. It's just like Sam Bankman-Fried, right? Some 20-something-year-old creating, a bigger Ponzi scheme than Madoff, bigger than Enron. And I believe that this fraud, I believe that this is bigger than FTX even. Because there's so many pieces to this. There's so many layers, right? You have Ethereum, but on top of Ethereum, you have Tether, right? On top of that, you have the exchanges. The exchanges were trading against each other. That's what caused FTX to go bust. Now, senators in the United States are calling for Binance and Tether to be sought after for charges. And we'll see where this goes, where this leads to. I see that Prod LB dropped a 10 spot. Zach, you're the GOAT of the XRP community. Love your work, bro. Question, big crash first or bull run? And in your opinion, will it be speculation, bull run, or utility? I think that we get a combination of utility and speculation, especially in the XRP space, especially for XRP, because XRP has plenty of speculators. Guilty. So many speculators in the XRP community, but we're finally getting utility. And I think that we're going to get a lot of, kind of what's been built. You just look at the EVM sidechain that's right now on the XRPL. You can take any ERC20 token, you can take any Ethereum virtual machine smart contract over to the XRPL, settle in 3 to 5 seconds with XRP at no cost. That's real utility. We have NFTs. Now we're getting an AMM. There's digital ID that's coming to the XRPL. There's cross-chain capability that's coming. XLS38D is basically the cross-chain bridge. It was originally called Federated Sidechains. They've changed the technical name of it now. But this is the perfect storm where the rest of the space is still under the storm. But us in the XRP community, we've made it out of the storm. We're in clear skies. It should be smooth sailing, and it should be the start of us building out utility. But I think that it's going to be violent, this bull run, in the price action for XRP and a lot of these assets, because there is still going to be a serious piece of speculation adding to the price action. Real utility is coming, and real utility is being built out right now, as I just played from David Schwartz. But on top of that, this is still highly speculative. The beautiful thing right now, too, is that folks are just seeking out an alternative. So they're coming to the cryptocurrency space, and XRP still holds such a strong position in the top 5 right now. All things considered, still being in the top 5 and having 10 years of track record, along with the additional utilities. And as soon as the word starts to get out, is the mainstream crypto going to cover this? I'm sure they'll make, they might cover it for a second, and then they'll try to bury it. And a lot of kind of what's been built in the crypto space, all the way from the projects, the ERC20 tokens, even to the influencers, the mainstream crypto outlets, even mainstream, news like CNBC, right? They don't want to cover this because their livelihood depends on it. From the YouTubers that are depending on getting shield checks from little ERC20 token projects, here we'll give you $5,000 to promote our project. We'll give you $10,000, right? A lot of these influencers run their business on sending out a flyer, a menu. What do you want? And that's their business model. A lot of these ERC20 tokens that have been built on here, right? This is their whole livelihood. But I think that it's time to get honest. It's time to get sober in the cryptocurrency space and come to ledgers that actually work. Now, whether that's XRP or not, there's going to be plenty of other winners too. Absolutely. I'm just looking at this XRP ledger like it's perfectly slated for retail end users to be able to use it for their applications on the lower retail end level. But then you have the company Ripple at the top higher end wholesale payment level that is getting deals signed with some of the largest banks and institutions in the world. So that's what I'm saying. The rest of the crypto space is left under a cloud. Meanwhile, XRP right now has legal clarity, additional utility, and we're about to see it, I think, potentially take the lead, and really garnish a lot of attention during this next bull run. Does it surpass Ethereum once again? It very well could. It's already done it once. Why can't it do it again? Especially if all these projects are seeing, wow, it's not even going to be that hard now to move on over to a ledger that actually settles. that has an AMM built into the layer 1. And that's what's really going to separate the XRPL out from the rest of the space, is that layer 1 DEX. Ethereum doesn't have that. All of the AMMs are built onto layer 2s on Ethereum. Therein lies most of your problem and most of your rug pulls. On XRP, the AMM is built into layer 1. And it's going to make the XRPL DEX even more efficient. I believe that we could find maybe the best liquidity in the cryptocurrency space on this XRPL after we get the AMM. And your ability to reduce impermanent loss through this layer 1 AMM 3 to 5 second settlement is pretty incredible as well. Going to be much, much tighter than all the other AMMs built out on Ethereum. Huge shout out to Steven for pulling up tonight in the chat. Rob, thank you for reminding me. Everyone, feel free to drop your comments, questions down below. Let me take some of them. Yes, we did just get our 14th vote on the AMM. So we are approaching that. Let me pull up XRP scan right now. We just got to 14 votes on the AMM. Let's take a look. So we have already reached 85% consensus on the fix for reduced offers. We are at 85% consensus on NF token remint. So these are the two fixes. The two fixes are at 28 votes. And now we see that clawback is at 54%. Okay, that's going to be critical. And we see the XRP fees is at 48% and the AMM is at 40%. So these amendments are having significant progress in the AMM. We are at 14 now, but then the rest of the amendments already back up to nearly 40 and 50%. Absolutely love to see it. You know, we're officially at the halfway marker, right? Because we need an 80% consensus to change the XRP ledger and to enable these amendments. So we're at 40% right now on the AMM. We're already halfway there. I just realized that. I'm gonna have to make a whole deal about that. Everybody needs to recognize we're at the halfway point for the AMM. Major milestone. We still got a few holdouts. So we got Steven. We have Steven in the comments right now. He says, no, I have the evidence still. It will be released in a legal proceeding. So as we just reported on, 3-hour bombshell. I still got to listen to this whole thing. So much to unpack from that. 3-hour bombshell recording, and that's 5 sessions with Vitalik Buterin. But then we also have a lawsuit that Steven's going to be filing. And I don't know who that's going to be against, but it is going to be dropping here shortly. Steven says that he has an additional lawsuit, and he has to, go after. There's significant damages. Just like I've been talking about with the XRP community, the damages done to us are absolutely massive. Now, do I really care to go after and get involved in some deal? I really just want a level playing field. I want us to realize some utility, and I'm excited on where XRP is going to go. Now, I think the XRP can easily go to double digits in this next bull run, but that's just getting started. Huge shout out to Steven for pulling up here tonight. Let me take some Q&A here as we wrap up this session. Let's go rapid fire with it. Thank you for being so brave. You are a crypto hero, my friend. Yeah, a huge shout to everyone who stepped up. It's not easy. We do put ourselves at risk by covering this stuff, by being friends with Steven. We Steven, my man. As I said on the space, though, when I wrapped up the space, I said it's a sacrifice we're willing to make because we need to save our country. That's what this is about. We're not here to pump a crypto. We're here to save our country. We're here to restore and make sure that we still have the gold standard of capital markets, that we still have a level playing field, an opportunity for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness for every American. not a weaponized bureaucracy beast with the SEC, Department of Justice, and the FBI, the IRS, and you name the other ones that go after the United States citizens who are just trying to do the right thing, build a business, feed their family, improve their community, improve humanity. What happens this weekend? Crash and burn, or do the horses get let out of the gate at last? Rob, watch out. Watch out. I'm remaining very patient. Very patient. A lot of manipulation, and we got hyped up here, but we're going to see we have 2 Bitcoin spot ETFs that we get an answer on tomorrow, and then we have 1 more on the 21st. So there's 3 that we're watching for, 2 tomorrow, 1 on the 21st. If we don't get those Bitcoin spot ETFs approved, we're waiting till January. So watch for that narrative. It pumped us up to 38,000. I'll pull up the charts here once again too. This narrative pumped us up to 38,000 for Bitcoin, but we have to watch out here because it looks like these ETFs could very well be delayed or denied eventually. Eventually, it is inevitable that we will get a Bitcoin spot ETF, but for now, just watch out. Need to put my crypto on a wallet, but worried about losing it. Is it easy to do? Zach Parks, yes, it is. And we actually have folks in our community, our private community, that will kind of hold your hand or help you, guide you through the process of moving to crypto if you need a hand. So yeah, we have very generous community members who are willing to help out in that regard. Steven says, thank you, everyone. Most of crypto hates me now. They don't understand. Good night. Steven, God bless you, man. Looking forward to having you back on the show too. On the way out, guys, if you guys could smash that thumbs up, I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you can do me a favor, I just ask that you share our content out far and wide. Share out Steven's tweets, share out the recording, make sure that this goes viral. This is all part of leveling the playing field. We have to get this out here, and we want to have the adult conversation about crypto. We saw where speculation got us. Speculation got us pretty far. It got Bitcoin up to 69K. It got Ethereum up somewhere. We got hundreds of thousands of ERC20 tokens. Some kids made some money. We had some fun. We had a lot of fun in the cryptocurrency space. It's time to clean it up. It's time for the adults to come on in. Okay. And what we build out from here on out will last. That's the beautiful thing. And so you guys know where I stand. It's utility without counterparty risk. If you guys listened in yesterday to the session with Andy Sheckman, CEO of Miles Franklin, he's one of our affiliates for precious metals. If you're looking to get gold or silver, that's at my website, zachrector.com. And Andy Sheckman, CEO of Miles Franklin, 33 years of some of the best service in the industry, industry-leading transparency, some of the best prices. But the conclusion that I shared with the audience last night, what are Andy and I investing in? We're not here to give anybody financial advice, but what are we investing in? Utility with no counterparty risk. Utility with no counterparty risk. That's gold, that's silver, that's XRP, that's real estate with no counterparty risk. Be careful with your leverage. So as long as cash flow covers debt service, you might have some good debt. You might have an asset. But in a new normal of interest rates being at 8% for your mortgage, 5% for our Fed funds rate, we have to adjust to the new normal. We have to make sure that our deals are going to cover our debt service. As long as cash flow covers debt service, we can make a deal work. We can make an opportunity happen. But we got to adjust to a new normal. And what am I investing in? Utility with no counterparty risk, where I'm in complete control, where I can leverage on what I'm already building. That's my businesses. My businesses make my money. When I go to save it, I stack silver. When I want capital on the sidelines right now to stay liquid, to buy more assets, I got cash. So I'm saving silver, and then I'm putting cash to the side. Is it savings? You could call it savings. I call it saving for an opportunity because it's ready to be deployed at any time. Real estate, equities, and further business opportunities. Now, with crypto, I've already packed my bags. I'm not trading this thing right now. And so I'm just patiently waiting. If they want to give us 55 cent XRP, I'll be ready to swoop. Let's take a look at the charts. Let's take a look at the charts real quick. I forgot that I hadn't even shown you guys Ethereum. Back down to 1982 for Ethereum. These are the weekly charts. Remember, Bitcoin, Ethereum, we're seeing these things really rallied up because they both have spot ETFs that were actually filed, unlike the fake ETF filing for XRP. Bitcoin up to 38,000. Have a good time. Ethereum up to 2138. Have yourself a party. Back down to 1982. XRP all the way up to 93 cents. Remember, this is your weekly chart. And we go all the way back here. During 2022, we went all the way down to 28 cents. During 2022, we went all the way down to 28 cents for XRP. But then we went all the way up to about 93 cents on July 13th. Judge Torres ruling XRP in and of itself is not a security. Now, the broader crypto market was in a bear market recession. We get brought down to 40 cents once again. We start to rally here, and you see the XRP goes all the way up to about 75 cents. Love to see it. That was a lot of fun. Now we correct back down to 62 cents. This thing is absolutely violent. And I was just looking at the TA here today, folks, and I asked the question to Twitter, how long are we going to stay under $1 before this thing breaks out? I think that we are in the final moments where XRP is under $1 before this thing breaks out, and it might ever go back below $1. Now, does that happen tomorrow? Does that happen next week? Probably not, but watch XRP into the new year. Okay, this thing's going to be incredibly violent, and we're watching an opportunity in time here where XRP is still below $1, but it is about to break above $1. And when you look at the charts, the sky's the limit. After we break above $1, right, we really run this thing up. And after we break through that all-time high, we can easily approach the double digits into the end of 2024. That is my expectation. You got Q4 of 2024. I'm expecting Bitcoin and XRP to be approaching a new all-time high. That's the technical analysis that I'm looking at, combined with my fundamental analysis, combined with the current events and everything else that's taking place in the world. We put that all together, and I remain patient. We'll see how they finish us off the rest of this year. Eventually, these Bitcoin spot ETFs are going to get approved. The Ethereum spot ETFs are going to get approved. The XRP ETFs are going to get approved. And when gold ETFs got approved in 2003 in Australia and 2004 in the United States of America, gold pumped 500%. How much more is crypto going to do after the ETFs get approved? Quite a bit. But the problem with these ETFs is they're not backed. They're not backed by the underlying asset. These ETFs that are supposed to represent gold and silver, it ain't there. As I was covering yesterday with Andy Sheckman, they're allowed to use sub-custodians. Basically, JP Morgan and the gang, these are some of the biggest custodians of these ETFs. But they don't actually custody these assets. They use subcontractors, essentially. They use sub-custodians, and in the documents, in the ETF disclosures, they admit that they're not responsible if the subcontractor doesn't have the gold, doesn't have the silver. So what are we doing here, right? And so, are we going to invest in the ETFs for XRP, for Bitcoin, for Ethereum? No, absolutely not. Is it going to pump the underlying asset? 100%. 100%. Is it going to allow for more manipulation? The futures contracts do that more than the spot contracts. But the spot contracts have played a role too because there haven't been backing. What happens when you move to a DLT system that tracks all of the assets in real time, and we can actually provide truth and transparency for financial markets and assets? That no longer is the case. The derivatives come back to reality. See, we don't even know how big the derivatives market is. We talk about XRP getting part of the derivatives market. You don't even know what to put into your calculator because the derivatives market is a shadow asset class. Now, if you're new here, folks, what we do on a daily basis is we break down the current events, financial markets, not just crypto, the broader financial markets as a whole. We tie it back into what am I doing? Not here to give you financial advice, but I just keep it real. I provide complete transparency. I'm stacking silver. I got cash on the sidelines. I packed a big bag of XRP. I have a couple other cryptos. I'm head down on my businesses, cash on the sidelines for real estate, cash on the sidelines for equities. And I'm very, very particular when I'm doing my due diligence on deals. If you want to get tapped in with our community, I just dropped our first of many tactical wealth lessons on trusts. And that's going to be the first of many tactical wealth lessons talking about building and preserving wealth. We have business development content, a lot more coming in that regard. We have real estate deals that we're looking at, and we have an investment community of like-minded individuals that's starting to look at something special here. An opportunity to take advantage of a sale of a lifetime, these assets coming back down, and an opportunity as we enter a serious inflationary period. Are we at the point of hyperinflation? Maybe not. That's up for debate. And they're, basically they're lying about how bad the inflation is. We understand that. But at the end of the day, he who has the gold, he who owns the DLT will control the new system. So that's why we're stacking the metals. And you want to know what I'm doing? It's utility with no counterparty risk. It's businesses that I control. I'm controlling my businesses, my cash flow. I'm controlling my investments, how my money grows. That's the game. That's what we do. It's a very simple plan. Now, if you want to get tapped in every Saturday, we have a weekly call within our Discord. It's how you can get in touch with me. We got additional content, educational on the way. Please get tapped in, and it's another way to support us. Remember, I'm an independent media group. I don't have any sponsors. Nobody cuts me a check. I stay true to you guys. We do it every single day. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell. And if you can, please do me that favor. Tap it, smack it, smash it, do something with it, and share out the message far and wide. And please drop a comment down below. Let me know what you guys want to see here next. We got more content coming. We got a video dropping tomorrow morning. Today, David Schwartz confirmed that R3 is still, in fact, using XRP. The biggest institutions in the world are waiting to announce that they're using XRP. So continue on. The train has left the station. Come get on board. My website is zachrector.com. I will see you guys in the next one. God bless you all. It's been a fun night. Thank you.